Okay, I'm just gonna start because I crammed in a lot of stuff in these slides, and even then I couldn't put everything I wanted to put in there. So, hello, my name is Daisuke. I will be talking about YAPC Asia and how we have so far been preparing to hold the YAPC Asia for this year. So. We've been holding YAPC Asia Tokyo since 2006. The first person who did this was Miyagawa, as you may know. But you know, like most good hackers, they get bored really quickly. And by the next year, he wasn't really into it. And by the second year, somebody took over, but it was really clear that it wasn't going to last long. So I took over at 2009. And since then, to start with, I've been a staff since 2006, and I have organized 6 of the last 7 YAPC Asias, the last 7 of them, 6 of them. So, yeah, thank you, but seriously, I must be mad, right? Yep, I know. Okay, I'm getting out. I'm actually getting out because this is just taking too much of my time. In fact, this is taking about 25% of my time in the year, and it's just not working anymore. And the money you get out of it is not quite enough to sustain you or anything like that. So we have declared that this is going to be the last YAPC Asia Tokyo that we're going to be holding anyway. You know, somebody else might pick it up, but we are actually considering liquidating the organization behind it too, because you know we can't just hold on to all the money and that we have accumulated and stuff. So anyway, so that's the YAPC Asia. Actually, how many of you are organizers here? Okay, a handful. Okay, all right. So YAPC Asia 2015. That's the URL. You can go look at it. This is going to be the biggest YAPC in the world. In fact, we have been the biggest YAPC in the world for the last few years. But this year, we're aiming for 2,000 attendees. Woo! Yep. Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. And what do you think? How many people do you think are behind this? Staff-wise. 1,000. Good guess. 12 core members. By core, I mean people who do the planning, who do the preparation beforehand. And that's including myself. And I am the only one who's being partially paid to do this. And that's the only reason why I can spend 25% of my time doing this stuff. And I got to thank the sponsor who also sent me here. Thank you. All right. So how do we do it? It's actually surprisingly similar to how you would approach an engineering project. You got to design it, and then you implement it, right? The design part is actually what I've been sort of writing up and in my blog that I write about missing, the part that I feel missing in the other YAPCs, but anyway, I'll get into that. And before I go on, I'm going to talk about a bunch of different stuff, but YAPC Asia is completely different from YAPC NA. We share the same name, but really, we don't do the same thing. So you can't directly compare YAPC NAs to YAPC Asias. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to be talking a lot about money, because that's very important. And currently, the yen is so weak, it kills me. But all the calculations I've done was 100 yen to $1. So if you're picky, keep that in mind. Okay, oops. And I don't think I'm going to be able to say everything I want to say about this, so please find me later. And if you find something interesting, please share it on your blogs or whatever, so other people that may want to do a conference can pick it up. Okay, so designing the conference. So why do we need to design it? I've actually written a fairly long blog about this, and you can go look it up. But you know, you have to know where you're going to in order to make decisions, and you can't just say, "Oh, we're just holding it. Let's go grab a venue, you know, random venue, and just run with it." You have to make a lot of, you know, the organizers in here know that you know, you have many choices, and you have to think about, do you want to have more room, or do you want to have more you know, better quality venue, whatever. You know, there are a lot of things you have to decide. So it's very important that you design first. Otherwise, you know, you might be able to go through with it, but you still might end up with, you know, equivalent of spaghetti code in your conference. So first of all, what is the conference about? YAPC Asia, we title it as a festival, not quite a conference, a festival. For all geeks, regardless of the community that you belong to. So it's not just for Perl geeks, actually. That's the angle we're taking. Okay. I repeat myself, so I'm just going to next one. And how big do you want it? This directly affects where you're going to hold it. So you have to kind of have a picture in your head first. We wanted a big festival. We wanted, like, you know, a rock festival, a metal festival. You know, we want people to go woohoo, right? So we didn't want just, you know, handful of people just gathering and just opening up the laptop and talking about code alone. We wanted people to have fun. So in order to do that, part of it was, you know, having a lot of people. So we wanted to increase the size as we go along. So. And while doing that, we wanted to really avoid being enterprisey. And I think we've been successful so far. And venues of this size are kind of scarce, so we always had the option of, you know, shrinking it down. But so if we didn't get a venue, we had to think of some other way to do it. Oops. Okay, so we got this far. Then you can start thinking about costs. We know from experience that YAPC Asia costs about $100 per person, per attendee. This has always been true for some reason. So we can estimate how much it's going to cost. So yeah, $100 for 2,000 people. Yeah, 200K. A lot of money, yeah? So then we need to calculate the money you have to raise, right? We also know from experience that each sponsor, on average, gives us about $3.5K worth. We also know that each attendee gives us an income of about $35. So that means we will get an income of about $70K from ticket sales, and we have to raise the rest of the $130K from sponsors, which means we need about 40 to 50 sponsors. How many sponsors does the YAPC have? I'm not sure. 10, 20, 15? Okay. This year we just got our last one, which was Microsoft, and I think we have 50. So it's a lot of stuff to do. So we got this far. You know, this gives us sort of the general overall design of where we want to go. We know who it's for, so you know that based on that you can think of what kind of content you want to provide to them, and all at the same time you know the ballpark costs and stuff, so you can keep your budget, you know, under control. Right. And yeah, actually the second item, sub item there is kind of important too, because since we need to go around 40 to 50 sponsors, we need to be able to tell them what they're in for, right? And that directly correlates to the whole what is this conference about type of thing. Anyway, these are all like intermixed together, so we'll come back to that later. Then we think about implementing the conference. Oops. I was going to ask what was the first thing you do when you implement the conference, but it's a team. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how you guys do it here. I'm not sure. But the few examples that I've seen don't really think of building a team first. They think that once somebody raises their hands and say, we're going to do a conference, just help me, and everybody just sort of automatically comes and helps you, and I don't know. That's the sort of attitude that I've seen so far. But with a conference this size, you kind of have to start with building the team and making sure that all the communication and stuff works. So, I told you about the core staff, right? We actually have 12 core staff, right? But obviously you can't do everything with just 12 people. You need people who are going to move the chairs or, bring the boxes full of swags and stuff. So that's the volunteer staff, people who only work on the day of the event, right? So we got about 60 of them this year. And we also have a network staff. 22 people there. These are actually people who build a custom Wi-Fi network just for the event. Well, all the kudos to them, but God, they are costly too. I'm going to talk briefly about them later. Let's see. And so, how do I do the team management? Well, this being United States and all hail democracy, but I actually don't do that. I'm the dictator. I call the shots. This is mainly because everybody works on this project part-time, right? They have their day jobs, and the most important thing that I think about when I do this, when I do the YAPC, is to not waste their resources, to not waste their time. So, in that sense, I don't think having lengthy discussions and meetings is a good thing. So I just take the responsibility. I call the shots. They work for me. But I'd like to think I'm the benevolent dictator. I'm not too selfish there, hopefully. Anyway, so that's how we do it. And this also relates to the whole not wasting the resources. This year we actually went through 2 weeks or 3 weeks evaluating what tools we want to use to do communication stuff. Last year it was Facebook groups. The year before, I think it was mainly IRC and Facebook, that kind of stuff. They proved to be, there were some problems. And this year we thought about it. So these are some of the criteria that we thought were important for communication tools. We have, out of the 12 core staff, 6 of them are non-engineers. So it has to be easy for non-engineers. You know what that means? We're not going to use IRC.
You're using these for promotion?
With these?
Yeah, Facebook.
Oh, Facebook we are using for promotion. But I'll get to that later. Yeah. This is internal, yes. So IRC's out. No text protocol here, okay? No text CUI tools. It has to be like 21st century type stuff. We also need easy mobile access. I don't know about in here, but in Japan, everybody does everything from a smartphone, so nobody really uses a PC anymore. And it has to be easy to sign up, otherwise they just wouldn't start working. You give them instructions to join IRC, they never do, and you have to catch them and they go, yeah, type those commands, right? And lastly, we deal with a lot of multimedia, like images and videos and stuff, so it has to be easy to send these stuff back and forth, right? So, Slack. I don't know if you guys use it for this year. Slack actually does fill all the requirements that we needed. Um, yeah. I don't know if you've used it. Have you, who uses Slack? Well, not too many people. Okay. Well, I gotta say, the whole sign-up process and stuff, it's so easy. I mean, God, why didn't we have this before, right? Anyway, so it works for us. And we use it to mainly to keep the conversation going. We don't hold discussions here, really. I mean, we do when we, when people are online at the same time, but the main reason to use this kind of chat tool is to just keep the conversation going, right? You tell jokes, you put some meme links and stuff, and you kind of get to know each other, right? Because, again, these are part-time staff. We don't work physically together. If we don't have something like this, it just, you don't feel like part of the team. So, right? There is one dark side of Slack, I have to tell you. It's too expensive. When you start paying for it, Jesus Christ. Oh my God, the bills are so bad. But my take is, for a team this size, it's worth it. And we do have the budget to pay for it, so it's okay. All right, IRC, well, I think I already said pretty much what I want to say. It's 2015, right? I can't force my team members to use a CUI-based tool, or even if the client is GUI, it just doesn't work. So we didn't really consider it. Other tools that we use GitHub a lot. GitHub actually kind of is it's the fine line there between easy to use for engineers and non-engineers, because the engineers obviously can use the git command, and it's easy to interface with it. And for non-engineers, you can actually use the web UI to view and edit and make new files and everything. So they actually have all the tools required. So we have been able to manage using these. And we use GitHub to keep track of to-do lists with issues. And we also have weekly minutes, like, God, the image is bad. But anyway, these are weekly markdown files that gets generated by a bot. And you just fill in what you did the past week. So I can tell what else I'm missing. Okay, the other thing we use, Google Drive. I'm sure you guys use it here. One thing that we consciously decided this year was to just share all the documents to everybody. Previously, I've been keeping all the financial details and the talks between sponsors to myself. But this year, we wanted to really, really avoid having a single point of failure. So I just decided, okay, be discreet about it, but I'm just going to share everything. You can see it all. I think this has been a good thing. For example, we actually did have a little small fiasco when I came here. We had a little mix-up with a sponsor, and I couldn't get there in time to fix it. So somebody went and looked at the stuff in the Google Drive, and they fixed it. So that's pretty good. Okay, and having described all those tools, we actually do have meetings, but they're more like drink-ups. This is sort of the advantage we have working in Tokyo. So while we don't work close together, we are in the same greater Tokyo area, and we can always gather around to have a little drink, right? Whereas in like YAPC and A, everybody's in the West Coast and East Coast and everywhere else, so you can't really have a physical meeting. I don't think meetings are necessary, but if you can have it, I highly recommend drink-ups and stuff just to get to know each other. I really don't believe in like work meetings. Like lengthy work meetings, right? You can just share what you've been doing in like a matter of 5 minutes. I don't think you need like an hour long of discussions. So when we do meet, it's just to make sure that we know each other and we are part of the team. So that's why It's always over beers. Like this. Yeah, Japanese style izakaya, if you've been to one of those. Pretty nice. I think it's actually very important to do this because your team is what's going to differentiate from success and failure of your conference. Okay. All right. This is the venue this year. This is the venue. This is the actual venue. This is the building that you see here. It's actually the 5th floor, 6th floor, 6th floor, 7th floor, and 8th floor are in that reverse triangular thing. Okay? How many of you here like anime and manga? Some of you. You may have heard of this thing called Comiket, which is a a big convention for anime and manga enthusiasts. If you've seen people dressing up as manga characters, that's where the event is actually. The Comiket itself actually happens over there because they have a more flat and spacious area, but usually they use this place for cosplayers to change their clothes into the manga characters. Anyway, but they do have a big auditorium there, so. Okay. So, thinking about the venue, I already told you that we're going to be we're going to use that venue, but when we were preparing to reserve a venue, these were some of the things we were thinking about. And as I said, it must have max capacity of about 2,000 people. It has to have several rooms together, right? You can't have just one big auditorium because we want to have multiple tracks, right? And they have to be physically close together. This is actually a problem because if you want multiple rooms, like colleges are not a bad choice, but usually the rooms are kind of far apart. You have to walk like 5 minutes or whatever, which isn't that far, but it's far enough to annoy your attendees, right? What else? Oh yeah, we have to have a space to have the conference dinner for 600 people. Actually, we wanted to welcome everybody, but it's impossible, so 600 is sort of the maximum that we could afford. Oh yeah, and this being in Japan, well, that's public transportation. This being in Japan, you don't hold conferences in a hotel like this, so people actually commute from their home to the conference, right? So the venue has to be at a good location where you can get on a public transportation and come and go home, right? And it should be reasonably priced. The price factor is actually kind of a hard thing to deal with in Tokyo because, God, they're expensive, man. You see the figures here? One venue costs 100K just for 2 days, one room. God. We looked around a lot. Oh, and yeah, even with that, you have to usually reserve 2 years in advance. This actually happened. So in fall 2014, we decided to have YAPC Asia, and we called up, and the first thing the guy says is like, "Oh, is this for 2016 or 2017?" Oh well. Anyway, what can you do? Act early. That's all, really. And pray. We called up about 10 locations and just told them, okay, if you have an opening for three consecutive days, let us know, and we'll see. So we waited.
What is included with the $100,000?
The room.
Just the room.
Is that like this with all 3 rooms that you split, or?
One room. One big room. Like 1,000. 900,000 people. So yeah, we waited. Started thinking maybe this is not a good idea. We may have to rethink the size. But it's the last one. So we wanted to go with a bang. And so maybe we had to wait until 2016, but the phone rings and we're saved. For some reason, somebody canceled. So we were lucky. And so we got this, Tokyo Big Site. Yeah, it's a really big venue. By the way, all this crowd here is, this is for the Comcat. Comcat attracts like 2 orders of magnitude more people, so. All right, and Jesus Christ. I was gonna show you the venue, but there's a big auditorium that holds 1,000 people. There's like rooms here and there on the other side. This room in the middle, you can put in about 500 people there. So as the venue spec goes, you can have about 1,800 people at the same time. And yeah, so this venue actually comes with a Wi-Fi. We talked to them, but it just doesn't work. We know it was like, I think it was like 100 megabyte download speed or something like that. I forget. I'm not really knowledgeable about this stuff, but it doesn't work. This is an event for 2,000 engineers, right? 2 years ago, when we had the YAPC 2013, it was the same day as the latest iOS release. Everybody started downloading it, right? And that year, we already had our custom network, so we were fine. We were actually fine. But if we didn't, oh my God, everything would have broken down. So you need a better network, so you just build it. We're all engineers, right? So that's what these people are for. The group's name is Konbu, Conference Network Builders. I don't know, man. They just love their network. They want to do funky things with it. They want to try to see just how many people they can accommodate with their equipment. I don't know. They're a crazy bunch of people, and they love it. But anyway, we pay for the expenses, but they do all the work, and for that we're very, very grateful. Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's for the venue. So we got the venue, right? But we still didn't know if we could pay for it. So we had to start thinking about money. Yes, we have to raise that 130K. In order to do that, I don't know. What do you guys do here in FCNA? Is there any manual or something to a person? That's a good idea. Okay.
There is one for the YAPC Europe.
Say it again?
There is sort of a manual for the YAPC.
Oh, there is. Okay.
It's maintained by Barbie.
Uh-huh.
And I gave them a couple of documents that I maintained in the Dutch Perl workshop and the thing that I did for the YAPC Europe 1. And several other organizers of YAPC Europe made up documents about the stuff, lists that they did and what to do and how to do it and where to find it and so on. He combined that and you can find it online on his stuff.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's not nowhere near complete.
Right, right. You can't complete it. This is something that you have to play by the ear every year. So, anyway, in order to raise that 130K, what do you really need to do? I think the bottom line is that you just have to make sure that it's easy for non-engineers, non-YAPC goers to grok what your conference is about, and prepare enough materials to sweet talk to them. And the main reason is that people who control the budget are not your engineer buddies. They're the pointy hair type that they don't understand the Pro from PHP, right? So you have to prepare stuff for that. When we did the design stuff, we already sort of came up with an abstract of what the conference is going to be, so we kind of clear that. In this section, what we need on top of that are visual aids and what we call the sponsorship menu. Right. I think in YAPC and NA at least you have like a platinum sponsorship, gold sponsorship, whatever, which is sort of a all-inclusive package sort of thing. We don't do that. I'll get into that later. But before creating that menu, we need all the visual aid that we need, logos, all the designing and photos and stuff. I've been saying this on Twitter and all the articles that I write, but God, man, where are your design staff, man? You have to put money here. This is where you want to put your money in. Because if you don't, only the diehard fans of your conference will notice you, right? You want newbies. You want more sponsors to take notice of your conference. Then you need a good-looking site and all the materials, right? Thank you, thank you. So, you know, when you look at this in the balance sheet, it's really depressing, but still, it's worth every penny. This is really where you want to start putting your money in. So, first things we did were like a teaser site. The moment we knew that we had a venue, we asked the designer to just put up a site, you know, declaring when it's going to be, where it's going to be, right? This is also a good thing to do because it avoids schedule conflicts. You know, if you're the first one to raise your hand and say, we're going to hold a conference on August 20th, nobody else will. So, we also have a logo set. I mean, this doesn't come out good, but it's all vector graphics. You can use it for anything you want. You can create memorabilias and professional grade printing material out of this. And in fact, we are going to make this kind of cup thing as part of the memorabilia for our attendees. And the only reason we can do this is because we have real professional grade design material. One thing, at least this year's YAPC seems to be missing is a good OGP image. You know, the image that you get when you share stuff on Facebook and Twitter, right? Actually, when I complained about it to Gene Hack, he somehow got it, but still, it should have been there from the very beginning. We had this from day one, okay? Because, again, we are in 21st century. When you have shares on your Twitter and Facebook, right, you don't want just the A tag, right? You want a picture, a description, all that stuff. And after that, finally, this is our sponsor menu. I included this in this section right after all the design stuff because we don't expect our sponsors to look at our sponsor menu if it's just a letter size piece of paper that has letters only. We actually make a pretty menu, right? So that it's easy to tell what we are asking out of the sponsors. And what the sponsorship menu is, it's basically like little items like official conference t-shirt. You can sponsor the t-shirt. You can sponsor to have your logo in a back panel. A back panel is one of those things where you put in the back of the speaker. So you've seen in like TV interviews, right? You see the sponsor names. This is actually our killer menu item. You get a lot of money out of this, okay? Everybody wants to pay for it. We have stuff like sponsorship for the Wi-Fi infrastructure stuff, and everything else. This sponsorship menu is actually about 8 pages long. It's got a lot of stuff, and so we don't do platinum sponsorship type of thing. If the sponsor basically gets to decide what they want to put their money for, where their names appear, that kind of thing. All right, so we asked the designer to come up with this. All right, and one thing I'm missing again, photos, man. If you look at the Twitter feed for YAPC, I'm like the only one putting photos. Well, there are some people, but this is not so that this is not for real-time shares or anything like that, but if you're going to continue holding your event, right, how do you explain how the previous year was without like having actual photos, right? I mean, sure, you can have this video feed and whatnot, but your sponsors are not going to watch your talk, right? They want to see what the atmosphere is. They don't care about what technical material you're talking about, right? So you really should have photos. We starting from 2009, we started hiring a professional photographer to take all these pictures. God, this is bad. Anyway, the original pictures are much better. We have everything from 2009 And we can just show it to all the sponsors saying, look, this is what we do. And look at the faces of these people come to our event. They love it, right? Oh, by the way, you see, that's Danko guy, right? You see the panel behind him? That's the back panel thing. And again, this pays a lot of money. All right? More pictures. You really, really should have professional grade pictures. It pays. Photographers aren't expensive. They're really cheap compared to the actual impact that you get out of these pictures. Okay? So you should. All right. So, if you got this far, then we have stuff to convince or talk to our sponsors. We have visual aid. We have the actual, the abstract of what we're trying to achieve. We can tell the sponsors what kind of conference their name is going to be associated with. So, the only problem for me, I have to go talk to all 50 of those sponsors, which I did. It was a pain. And I had to explain over and over what YAPC was. So, but after the fifth one or so, you start memorizing all your lines. So, okay. So you go to your sponsors, you start getting your money, right? Next step, I haven't talked anything about the contents of the conference, right? Speakers, that's what makes a difference. I know that guy. Yeah. So, what do? The secret ingredient to YAPC Asia is not a Perl conference. No, it's a conference, a tech conference biased towards Perl. We actually don't ask for Perl talks. We ask for interesting talks for engineers. And if it's about Perl, it's better, but we don't ask for it, okay? Part of the reason is, well, it's hard to have an interesting conference, multi-day conference, talking about one specific technology. The other reason is, again, it's 2015. I don't think too many systems are made of one language. And the moment you start limiting yourself to just Perl, you kind of start losing, all those really interesting candidates. And we really wanted to have those candidates. And our mission, starting from 2009 when I took over, was not necessarily to promote Perl the language. What we were trying to do was to promote Perl the culture, Perl the community. And this was a great way to do that because a lot of the people, for example, the people that usually do Ruby stuff, PHP stuff, they might have something interesting to say, but they don't come to the Perl conference because it's Perl, right? It's such a waste. We have a good community. We have a good culture. We want to share that to people who don't otherwise care for Perl, right? So that's how we kind of shifted the event. And for the proposals, I think we do this kind of in a very unique way. We don't have a selection process, a closed selection process. When you submit your talk to YAPC Asia, it's immediately public in a pending state, right? So anybody can see it. Part of the reason is, well, we wanted to sort of share beforehand what kind of people are submitting their talks. But the other reason is we wanted the speakers to promote their talks via Twitter, Facebook, whatever. So that gets back to the early question. Yeah, we heavily use that for promotion. Seriously, this is automatic promotion. People want to get accepted, right? They start feeding their talks to all these places. They write blogs about it, and I don't have to do anything to promote YAPC Asia. Hey, works for me. Then the actual talk selection takes place. We start reading the abstracts, and obviously the abstract is what counts the most. So if it's not interesting, we don't take it. But if you have multiple talks that are about as interesting as the other, then the next thing we consider are number of shares. Because we assume that that many people were interested in that subject. Okay? And if you have a tie even after that, then it's time to use the Perl or no Perl. If it's about Perl, it wins. Otherwise, well, we reconsider. All right? We also have this guest and feature speaker stuff. I don't know, do you guys actually invite speakers for YAPC? A little, yeah? Okay. Well, we usually have 3 or so speakers, foreign speakers, and we invite them to talk at the YAPC. And again, this is where, since we don't have to restrict ourselves to Perl, this is where the organizers, I get to have fun. This year, I just invited Brad Fitzpatrick of Memcached and Go fame, just because I wanted to talk to him. So, and this year we're actually inviting 10 guests total, including Matt of Ruby, in a YAPC. So, let's see. And other content, unlike YAPC, we don't have classes. We tried once, it just didn't work out. It was really hard to get extra rooms, and not too many people signed up for it, so we haven't been doing that since then. If the sponsors want to hold some extra sessions, special sessions, we work with them to make that happen. But otherwise, most of the content is just, talks. All right, miscellaneous stuff. Oh, everybody loved this one. If you have been a YAPC organizer, Act, the Act, the software that runs YAPC sites. We've used Act for up to 2009. And then I decided, this thing ain't gonna work. Main reason was nothing technical, really. It was the fact that it was a hosted service, and I couldn't just have my designer go in and change all the templates and stuff. It was too hard to tell them how to change the templates and stuff. It just didn't work out. So what we did, since we are a Perl conference, sort of, we chose movable type instead of WordPress to hold all the static content. And other than that, we just have a really bare bones set of PSGI applications to do all the dynamic stuff. And ticketing, we just outsource it. So like this year, we just have two tabs there that's dynamic. Everything else is from movable type. Ticketing, again, this goes with all the Act stuff. Again, it's 2015. There are services that handle this very well. Just outsource this. We use a service called PTIX that's mainly based in Japan. They're also active in the United States. Part of the reason we chose that is because they're written in Perl too. But anyway, it works. Yeah, timing is everything, but this is sort of stuff that only somebody who has organized it would understand. So if you're an organizer and you want to know how we time things, come talk to me. Balance sheet. I actually want to share my balance sheet so bad because I got a very cool balance sheet. It's a Google spreadsheet that does all the calculations automatically, and you can tell exactly if you're in the red or not. But I can't just show it to you here. If you're interested, come find me later. Oh, and we actually do some not heavy, but we do consistent advertisements. Almost every month we have some sort of article or sponsorship going to advertise our event. there's a site called GeoJP. It's like, I don't know what the equivalent is in United States, but they're a tech journal. They do paper, book, actual paper journal and website. And we have regular installments there to talk about how we're doing. And if you know what Miyaga's been up to lately, he pretty much changed jobs from a programmer to a podcaster. And so his podcasts are actually really, they're popular in Japan at least. So we just sponsored his podcast and go in and say, that, hey, we're holding YAPC Asia, come. All right, so wrap up. You should have the grand design. You can't, you're not going anywhere unless you know where you're going. So you gotta start there. Staff, I really want to emphasize that you shouldn't take your staff for granted. You got to treat them well. You got to feed them, and you got to make sure that they feel like part of the team. And a lot of people that I've seen holding this kind of conference just fails to do this. Communication is really important, more so than, so far my bullet points have almost been stuff that doesn't have anything to do with talk or the actual conference itself. And I believe these things are much more important than the actual talks. So that's why I'm saying it. Outsource it. You don't have to do everything by yourself. Now, not outsourcing it includes using stuff like ACT. You don't have to. You don't have to feel the pain of using this software. Just let somebody else do it for you, right? And finally, use the web. I keep saying this, it's 2015. There's, if you're looking for some service, you're sure to find something on the web, so use it. That will save you a lot of time and effort, so. All right, and finally, I might have scared you away, but I started it without knowing anything. For some reason, I grew the conference from about 200 people to 2,000 people. So, hey, you can do it. All right? All right, so I'm done. If you have any questions? Yes?
So you mentioned towards the beginning that packet around for a long time. Is that file and quantity was the same? So like, is there a correlation?
So,
Or though it's now $100?
right. So the question is the average cost for per attendee if it hasn't been the same. So I'm not exactly sure about the very early days when we started out 200 people or not, because I wasn't the organizer and I wasn't controlling all the financial stuff. But since I started, and then I started taking these notes from the second year, and at least from 2010, it's been that way for some reason. It balances out to be like that.
What was the head count?
2010 was 400 or 500, something like that. Yeah. Yes.
Do you serve any food, any beverages, coffee?
Oh. The question is if we serve any food or coffee. So there is the free dinner, conference dinner, which is free. That actually costs like, how much is that? $60 per person, times 600. But that's about the extent of money that we have to pay for food, mainly because these venues don't allow you to serve food, unfortunately. Looking at the stuff that you got there, the fruits and all the drinks, I'm really envious. I wish I could do it, but the venue won't allow us. But this year we do serve coffee. We force them to accept it. So. Hey, welcome to Japan. Tea, free tea, well, no. I wish I could do that. Again, generally these places don't allow you to bring in any sort of food or drinks. This year last year is the first year that we actually had endless free refill style coffee. We had to push it so hard. NT. Yeah, and this year again we're gonna have it, but again, it really depends on if you can negotiate your way through. So yes.
So what percentage of your budget or dollar amount do you spend on advertising?
What percentage of our budget do we spend on advertising? Not a whole lot. The articles that we installed, it's basically sort of free. Oh, okay. It's basically free because we write it, we don't get paid, and they want content, so they just take it. For the podcast, I could tell you, but Miyaga probably wouldn't appreciate it, so I'm not gonna say exactly how much I paid. All right, it looks like we're about out of time. If there's anything else you want to get out of me, let me know. I'm gonna be around, so thank you.